Yeah, I guess we can start. We're already a bit late, but we've managed finally to get all the panelists here. So, yeah. First of all, thank you so much for being here, all the fellows on the panel, and all the fellows and attendees and mentors who managed to make it to the end of the EPF Day of 2024. And we are wrapping up today's EPF Day with a special panel discussion, and I called it the E panel discussion because it's Ethereum, but it's also Echo, Ethan, and Anico. Completely randomly chosen fellows, of course, to join us. And so I chose you guys, I invited you guys, because all of you have been in previous cohorts of the fellowship, and today you became full-time contributors, you became working with client teams, or actually so I will start with a quick intro, and I will kind of do your intro. You can add if you want something, because I want to move to the questions. But so we have here three people who have who I believe are representing all kinds of possibilities that EPF can give you, because we talk a lot about client teams and the core contributors and so on, but not everybody from EPF is going to end up working in a client team, and there are other kinds of futures for you. And I will start with the lady here, Eniko, who's been working on debt packaging as a part of created verifiable deterministic builds for Ethereum clients, and has been working on it for more than a year now as a grantee. So continues her EPF work on a grant and working on something which is Ethereum tooling, but not directly to the clients. So great example of how people from EPF can work outside of clients. We have Ethan, who is on the other side, directly in the client, working full-time in Lighthouse as a core developer. And we have Echo, who is a researcher in ARG, or Applied Research Group in Ethereum Foundation. So we have also representative of a research fellow. So yeah, all kinds of backgrounds. And I don't want to actually talk really about your EPF experience itself, because you can actually find it, right? If you go to cohort 3, cohort 4 repository, all of the experience, all of the work done by these people is there. It's open. You can read their story for week by week, basically. So we don't need to dive into that. But I want to ask you folks, looking even before EPF, before you started diving into Ethereum, diving into the fellowship, what was it like? What did you think at the time? What brought you to the EPF? What was your initial motivation to start working on this? What interested you? What was the initial push to get into all of this, whether EPF or Ethereum? Yeah. See, whoever wants to start.
So I mean, I got into Ethereum or blockchain originally because I saw my friends use Aave. They took out a collateralized loan in like a minute, and we're moving money around, and I'm like, what is this? How does this work? I don't understand this. And then they got liquidated a week later, and I'm like, oh, this is really cool. I want to learn more about it. And then fast forward a couple years, I got a job in Web3, doing app development. And I came across the EPF actually during cohort 3. It had already started, so I was just kind of peeking around, seeing what's going on. And I think the merge was happening at the same time. And when the merge happened, one of the main things that I noticed was how it just worked. There was no issues, no bugs, which is kind of a crazy concept. I don't know if you guys play video games. I used to play World of Warcraft a lot, and every time there was a new expansion, the servers would crash day one. There was always an issue. And for this huge distributed system that multiple teams worked on, previously I didn't even know that there was multiple client implementations either, which kind of tripped me out as well. And so seeing all that just really impressed me, and I wanted to learn more about that world. And then cohort 4 came along. I had already made a couple small PRs to Lighthouse and interviewed, and got in that way.
So you know that Ethereum was created because of World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, literally, it still keeps producing core tests. It's amazing. Echo, whatever.
So what got me into blockchains? It was a few years back whenever I was in the tail end of college and I was not really, was super lost, and all of a sudden, COVID hit and I kind of saw a lot of institutions and systems that were super fragile and all of a sudden broke out of nowhere, even though there was this veil of legitimacy that was kind of shrouded amongst all these things that ended up breaking. And I saw technology as and blockchains as a way to kind of help build more robust systems to coordinate humanity, and thought it was really cool. And so I just started tinkering with I was building some light client that ended up it was ridiculous looking back, but it kind of got me in the door. I met a client developer. He told me about the protocol fellowship, and so yeah, that's what happened, and I applied, and y'all said yes, so thanks.
So word of mouth helps to run fellowship, all the time.
Yeah, dude, yeah, and I think a big thing was interacting online with people in the Ethereum Discord. And you can find these people online, and a lot of them are really kind and are super excited to help anybody who's interested. So.
Yeah. So for me is I'm living in Thailand, so I moved here a decade ago, and I live in Chiang Mai, which is, I don't know if how many of you went there to do a short visit. It's basically a crypto city, so Bitcoin is very, very heavy dominant there. And I was always oh, I don't really want to get into this because it's just all these crypto bros, and they just want to do with all this new token and everything. So I was no, I'm opposing to. But near COVID, I started working in a co-working place, which is a blockchain space, and there was this guy who was doing Chiang Mai dApps, and he was hosting a blockchain meetup, and my friend just convinced me to just go once. So I went, and I was he was showcasing Uniswap and stuff like that, and I was wow, these are really, really cool stuff. I was the first time that I'd actually see projects that are trying to make an impact, and at the time we didn't have the word for refi, because that came a couple of years later, but I was oh, this is people are actually trying to build something that is very decentralized, but also also makes money for the people. So it's for me, this was the initial thought that made me wanted to be a programmer. So it was I was really sad for a very, very long time that I couldn't really find all of these projects. And I was here out of nowhere just after the COVID. And yeah, so that's where kind of my journey started, and slowly I get it more and more involved. And did the EPF last year, which is also was crazy because I applied I think a week or 10 days before. I think less than then I was oh, I'm not getting in, I'm just applying. So I actually being in cohort 5 or something like that, and oh, I got accepted. So yeah, that's a story for me.
So where did you learn about EPF?
Yeah.
Where did you learn about it? Where was it coming from?
EPF. Oh, so I actually know one of the previous fellows from cohort 2, so that's how.
Right. Yeah, so again, word of mouth and community, it's fellows bringing more fellows all the time, yeah.
Well, so yeah.
Please bring more fellows next year, yeah. Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Yeah, that's lovely. So yeah, that was before the cohort started, and now I'm going to skip the cohort because, again, it's all on GitHub. You can read the experience, and we discussed how it helped you and so on at the EPF days before, but now I wonder what happened for you since then. So it's been 1 year for you folks, 1.5 years for Echo since the cohort ended. What is your biggest revelation since then? What was some highlights, some biggest progress you've made, some revelation you had since working without the training wheels of EPF, basically, yeah.
No. Okay, so Stace here. So I'm still working on the project, and I'm working under the EPF, so I'm trying to simplify node running, but also providing packages for Linux. And it is a pretty complicated project, so there's a lot of moving parts. I got a comment that my project is I don't know, I don't remember the word, but it's too much, so it should have been just exactly the smaller one. Either way, one of the stuff is like just keep going and keep doing, and things start to work out, and it just takes time, more time than you would originally thought. But it's still it's just be patient and persistence, and things going to work out. Yeah, for me that was.
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest highlights so far being a core dev was being able to go to one of the interop events. So it was about, I don't know, 6 months ago or something. We all the client teams went to Kenya, and we spent a week kind of at this resort, and we all just kind of were stuck in a room together and worked for a week. And for me, it was a really cool experience. One, I got to meet a lot of my team members that I'd been working remotely with, and two, I got to interface with researchers, other client devs, people that have been working as core devs for years, people that I respect, that I look up to, and I was sitting in the same room with them, having conversations with them. I probably learned more that week than I'd ever have about blockchain any other period of time, and it was such a cool experience. I tell everyone I felt like I was the dumbest person in the room, but in a really good way. Like I felt like I was able to absorb so much, and I felt just like so lucky to be there. It was really, really cool.
I guess the biggest thing that I learned, like going off of this like dumbest person in the room thing, is that I got really scared a lot of the times whenever I was interacting with these core developers, and shied away more than looking back, I wish I didn't shy away so much. Like I didn't ask questions that I had, like I was thinking, because I was like, oh, what if someone thinks I'm stupid or something like that. And that's recently started to change, but I still feel that part of me that's fearful. And I don't know, you can't don't operate out of fear, because that shit sucks. It's really not a good way to go through life. But yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, it's all great advice. Whether it's working hard, whether it's don't be worried to ask questions. Yeah, that's amazing. Because that was kind of my next question, asking about some advice, or maybe something from the perspective at a time when you were doing or finishing the cohort. What is something you wish you knew at a time? What is some advice you would give to yourself at a time when you were still just starting, something that would make it easier for you, with considering your current experience? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, don't operate out of fear. That's definitely a big one, and I think trying to keep the North Star, whatever is driving you forward, your own internal North Star. I know this is a meme that's been going on, but have your own, and yeah, don't forget it whenever you go super deep into the technical, the weeds of things, because it's really easy, or at least for me, to go super deep into something and forget where I was. And if you kind of forget where you were, then it's easy to not remember 3 months down the road, oh yeah, what was this all tying back towards? So.
Yeah, I think one thing I told myself towards the end of the EPF is regardless of what happens, the 4 or 5 months that I spent, were so valuable, and I learned so much. I became a better developer, that regardless of what ends up out of it, I know personally I grew a lot as a person, as an engineer, and I could take that anywhere else, even if it's not in Ethereum. And on the other hand, I also was dedicated to being very persistent. So I kind of told myself I'm gonna keep opening PRs at Lighthouse until they have to hire me. I wasn't gonna give up. And so those were kind of the two things that I had in my head, and they made me feel, I wasn't too stressed about it, because I knew that regardless, I gained so much out of it that it didn't matter what was going to end up happening in the end.
I think I have this question before, so I think the same answer. as I said, like a year ago, is like just talk more with the people. Like I feel I didn't really interact so much with the people, and the people are so helpful. Like everyone's like from the EF and all of the teams and so on and so on. And maybe they don't have the time to reply to every PR or every question that you have because they are busy and they have, I don't know, like I think they have like a tons of PR there, or question issues. So it just takes time for people to reply or just even understand. I think I opened the PR on one of the clients and they're still working on it because they are just so much overwhelmed with all the tasks and all the roadmap. So just be really patient and interact more and then don't work in isolation, because for me it's like, oh, I can just do it alone and I can do everything, and that's true, but I think it's when I get the input I can get out of these rabbit holes that sometimes I'm really dig myself into, because it's just somebody just says to me something in like one sentence and like saves me 2 weeks of work. So that happens a lot. So that's just really good for me. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you very much, Nico. Yeah, yeah, it's all amazing advice. Very inspiring, all of you guys. I hope to use you to inspire and motivate the current fellows at the, because it's I think it's maybe a bit tough time at the end of the cohort when you kind of don't know what's coming next, right? I also wanted to ask about that, like what was it like during this transition period? Before I get there, I want to check if there are any questions from the audience. I want to also give you chance to ask questions, and I can just, continue asking my stuff, but you are here with these people. I want to give you the opportunity, same like the office hours, right? Don't be shy, classic, right? Dan is missing here to drive it. Oh, we still have Katya, she's the runner-up. Yeah, we have a question already. Yeah, if you have questions, please feel free to raise your hand. We'll give you opportunity. Also, there are 3 people with 3 very different expertise covering like most of the EPF core protocol related stuff. So feel free to direct on the individuals or the whole panel. So if you have questions, yeah, always feel free to ask. And if there are any or not, I can maybe continue. But yeah, okay, Katya, go ahead. Yeah, I want to save mine because we still have time. So.
Hey guys, thank you for coming. I just wonder how long was your cohorts? How long? How long?
How long was
The cohort.
the cohort?
Yeah.
For
For
4-month
the guys.
cohort. Yeah.
The same?
4 months.
It was before it used to be 4 months,
Okay.
and it was running echoes from the cohort 3, which was the first one that we did with Josh. So also for us it was a new thing, running from like November till February, 2022 till 2023, and then in 2023 we started the cohort 4, where Aniko and Ethan participated. Yeah. So.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah. Jeziza?
Hello, I'm Jess Visa, and I just wondering, what's the working experience as working for Ethereum and for other companies? Yeah.
So
So what's the working experience different from working for Ethereum and for other companies?
Oh, yeah, so-
Sorry. Seems employees for Ethereum Foundation is very stable, and yeah, but for other companies maybe is do.
Yeah, because you folks, again, you have very different experience. So maybe like, what is it like working on a grant, working for a client team, working in EF? And maybe if you have other experience from like corporate kind of normal businesses, like if you can compare that, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I've worked like in the healthcare industry, e-commerce, and also like Web3 app layer, and those were always like very like product focused, very I guess like very like we had like a product manager, like we need this feature, or if that site is down, like you better wake up on a Saturday and like do this. And so working on like open source software, like Lighthouse has been kind of like the opposite, where you like obviously there's things like Pectra, like the the upcoming upgrades that we kind of have to do as a client team, but we also have a chance to like explore maybe ideas that we have or work on things that interest us. And everyone on the team is also like very passionate about Ethereum. Like, you know, when I worked in e-commerce, I wasn't passionate about e-commerce, you know, like, so it's really cool to like work in a field that you also like care about in your personal time. Yeah, I get, and then also like, not just that, I get to interface with other client teams and other researchers that aren't even part of our company, but we're all like collaborating together, which is very weird. I had this discussion with someone about, you know, the different client teams, like let's say Lighthouse and Prism, and he says, is there competition between Lighthouse and Prism? And I said, no, like, you know, we care about client diversity, like, you know, we want, you know, a healthy, diverse network. And they just couldn't wrap their head around it. They're like, what do you mean? Like, you guys, like, don't, you know, compete or hate each other or whatever? And it's like, no, we literally collaborate. Like, as I said, we spent a week in Kenya, like, talking, sharing ideas, learning from, you know, each other's, like, implementations or whatever. So it's a totally different paradigm than I was used to in, you know, other jobs that I had.
So I didn't have any sort of real job before working at the EF, and that's definitely, it kind of has its pros and its cons, but yeah, there's like a lot of room for you to kind of explore what it is that you want to do as a researcher, at least. So there wasn't much structure at all, and you just kind of go off and figure out what's interesting to you, and you explore that, and it's on you to like reach out to others and try to learn from others, and it's on you to like hold yourself, like to set goals for yourself, and like to make sure that you're staying on the right track and progressing the concept that you're exploring or whatever. So that was very interesting, and I think there's some organizational changes happening, so it's a little less. I think we're moving from this like super free-formed research group to kind of like slightly more directed. So that's changing, but yeah, that's how it was for me.
All right, so I think I have quite a diverse experience. So I was working for both corporations and for startups, also for Web3 and non-Web3 as well. And this is like basically like kind of like my own company in a way, because I'm saying my own company because I have to do the development, I have to do the project management, I have to do the marketing, I have to do the community building. So it's like, it's a lot, and it's like, it's really like wearing a hat, like which hat you are wearing in different days, and it's just, I cannot do like coding on the same day and do marketing. So then I'm trying to like make each day different. So when I'm just on Twitter, or I'm still not though, I'm trying my best. So it's I think it's very challenging to do a project like this kind of size that I'm actually started under the EPF. And I'm still in many ways I feel lost, so I'm really happy to be here in DEF CON and meet people and get feedback and advice, or see how people are actually doing different projects. I think it's really rewarding, so it's definitely something that I really do love to do. It's just tons of work, and if you know something breaks, and I'm actually supporting all the clients, which is like 10 at the moment, and will be with Grandine will be 11. So it's every time they just push an update, like on Saturday, like Lighthouse, I had to just go and then do the release. So it's like, okay. I mean, it's on them. It's like, sure, why not? But it's like have all the processes done, so I don't have to be there and do all this. So it's really kind of like building up all of this, so I can free up my time and do development work, which is what actually matters. And it's challenging, but also very rewarding, I think.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nico. I mean, it's yeah, very hard task to manage your own project independently, but yeah, a huge respect for also working like this. And you guys are pushing releases during DEF CON, like you're working. Like, how is it even possible? Anyway, yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Yeah, audience, like, feel free to, yeah, I see some hands there, yeah.
Sorry, good afternoon, everyone. So my question is, I had a project and it had something to do with Lighthouse. So I find it difficult to navigate through Lighthouse. So I really want to understand, how do you guys maintain the code base? Because the code is kind of like much compared to grinding. And it's more like, like there's a file that has like up to 6,000 lines of code. Like whenever I look at the code base, I find it difficult to digest. Like, how do you, as a developer, how do you navigate through so much code base? How do you maintain? How do you test and all of that?
Yeah, I remember when I first looked at Lighthouse, I also was sort of new to Rust, and I was pretty lost and overwhelmed. And I think that happens a lot, like in general, when you look at new code bases, like when you started a new job, you know, you have to learn, you know, the infrastructure, the business logic. And so what I really try to do is like start small. So I picked like the easiest PR I could find. I think it was like to like update a log message, like literally like a one line. It was just like changing like a string or something. It was really silly. And then I took another PR that was a little more complicated and just started building on things. So instead of like trying to do something big at first, which would have been like really, really overwhelming for me personally, because the way I learn, you know, everyone learns differently, but the way I learn is like by doing things. I just started with like the simplest PR, you know, issues I could find, and built myself up from there. And Lighthouse is a really complex code base. There's a lot going on there. I mean, I've been working at Lighthouse for almost a year, and there's, you know, things in the code base that I'm not, you know, super familiar with, and I'm, you know, learning to this day, and I'm sure even a year from now I'll be learning. So yeah, there's a lot there. And you know, we are on Discord, so if you have questions, you can message us on Discord. We're super responsive, and we can try to help. But yeah, it's definitely a lot. It's not I also had trouble at first, for sure.
Claude helps. Like genuinely, it's getting good now. But like, you can just highlight everything within the repository, and if you have a question, highlight the repository, and then ask the question like, all right, how do I, like, where do I start? And these days, it's pretty good at like, it kind of knows the protocol pretty damn well, and like understands Rust, the language, pretty damn well, and it can definitely point you in the right direction.
That's an interesting hack, yeah. And Nico, feel free to add like navigating, or like maybe to reframe it from your perspective, because you were so not diving into like existing big code base, but you were starting from zero, but a very complex project. So when you are starting from zero, where do you start building something such a beast?
I have to patch kind of a few clients on my project, so because not all of the clients are allowing for reproducible builds, so it's like 5 or 6 languages that I have to be in some ways familiar with. So it's just basically they put the build ID a year, sometimes something else. So it's breaks. So I have to redig through why it's not working. So it was really challenging to like, yeah, but I think it can comment that and also it goes that it's just start small and keep building on it, and small things done over time. It's like people like always say, when you save money, do the compounding interest, and it's in 10 years, you know, like you will get rich. And I think people don't use it enough for development purposes, because I think that's how it works. And I think that's why Ethan got hired by Lighthouse as well, because he started very small and keep building up onto, and it became very big in the end. So I think it's just start small and definitely do PRs. Like, I think small PRs, start with small PRs, and you build it up.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great advice as well. Compound effect. Yeah. Any more questions? Anything from the audience? Feel free to ask generally, or yeah, Gilia?
Thank you. I had a question for you. You said you were working on a research project, and I was curious about how you went about maybe if you got stuck in like rabbit holes or anything like that, how you kind of got yourself out of those. I have a bit of research experience, and often I found myself just like spending a long time just thinking instead of doing, as opposed to like when I code and I can kind of see where I'm going, if there's any progress and stuff like that. Were your mentors any help for, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Getting you unstuck and having, like, reaching milestones and stuff?
Yeah, definitely. I think the big thing is like starting with a goal, like and don't forget that goal. Like if you have a question, don't forget the question. And then like making a game plan based off of that. Like these guys, y'all at the EPF, y'all had like weekly updates that you had to do, and it forced me to write and like to like develop the like help me keep track of the goal and to like over time see if I am veering off and not answering the question or not answering the sub question that leads back to the main question. I think like just visualizing and remembering what the main goal is, and then also like I was lucky, or I am lucky, to be with Alex and Matt, and like you can ask these guys. I don't know if you can find somebody who knows about the topic and has research experience. They can definitely help guide you and like set the right goals and to make the right game plan. Yeah, but writing out helps because like otherwise it's really easy to just read stuff and to think you understand what's going on, but then like someone asks you a question where you have to answer based on, like if you're not writing, you only think you're thinking kind of thing.
All right, thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much, Echo. Yeah, we have last 2 minutes to go, and I would maybe close the panel with one more question, because I'm wondering, like, so there is a big difference between the EPF and now being just without the training wheels, and I think one part of the training or in EPF, or one thing that we did, what you mentioned, the weekly updates. Many people say that like having this routine and the community which pushes you, motivates you to build stuff, right? So I'm wondering, like, how does this change for you now? What keeps you going? What keeps you motivated? What keeps you productive in a way? Whether it's a routine, whether it's some development process, or like, what keeps you going, guys? Yeah.
For a while this past year, I kind of fell off and like got in a really bad spot. But having like people around you in real life, at least for me, helps a lot. And like, if you know the people that you're working with and you believe in the thing that you're trying to build, like the world computer and all the sub-components of the world computer, like, it definitely helps you stay motivated. Don't get like so stuck in a rabbit hole or in your head that you feel like you can't like talk to your people.
I think for me, I'm definitely like a creature of habit, and I think like you're not gonna always like be motivated every day, but what I try to do is like to be consistent. So like I have my routine. I wake up at a reasonable time. I have get a couple hours of work done, go to jiu-jitsu, get some exercise, come back and get some more work done. And like my wife always makes fun of me because like no matter where I am, like I'm in Thailand right now and I'm still going to jiu-jitsu, and she's like annoyed. You're in Thailand, like let's go see temples and travel. But like I like doing the same thing wherever I'm at because it gives me like a little bit of structure. And also like I get to work like with really talented team members, and I've learned so much these last 10 or 11 months that I feel so like privileged to be able to work with those people and learn from them. That like how can I not like wake up every day and do my job? Like so many other people don't have the opportunity that I have, and so I'm really like thankful for it. And yeah, that's what gets me excited, I guess, most days.
Habits are definitely helpful. For me, I have the big vision in sight, so I really want to simplify node running, and I just shipped the alpha version, which is just like a month ago or something. So I really want to see the project going, and it's not in a state where I could be proud of it, and I'm really waiting for that feeling that, okay, I'm proud of this, that I did this project. So for that point, I would say I'm pretty much motivated. After that, I think what is going to keep me going is the community. So if I start building the community right now, and people start requesting different stuff on the repository or start using the project, and then that's okay, this project is useful and people want to use it. So that's the two things that I have in mind to make myself motivated in the long term.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. That's a really valuable advice because, you know, I mean, I want to say like it's, yeah, one more question. We are out of time, so I'm sorry, but we will be here so we can chat afterwards. But now I need to cut it off because we are already after 5 and gotta close it here. But yeah, I wanted to say a huge thank you because, yeah, very valuable advice about the, just the motivation that you just said. I find it very important because it's not even a marathon. It's just like it's an infinite garden, right? It's this garden which just never stops growing. You still need to trim it. You still need to go. It's you, people like you are here for the long run, and for the fellows here, like it's been 5 months, and I know it's been intensive, but now is where the real work starts, and now it's when the actual part where the career opportunity of being in this core community starts. And yeah, many thanks for you to inspiring these people and helping them out. You are a great example of I think success in this kind of community. But also, you maybe noticed that I run this panel with like no technical question. It's just like about our internal motivations and struggles and feelings and whatnot, because like I believe that people here can relate to your experience because you live a very similar thing. But I want to emphasize all of these 3 people are technical geniuses. They are just amazing in what they do. So I didn't take the opportunity to talk about some cool technical stuff. And I know there is a lot of technical talks at DEF CON, but also please afterwards feel free to reach out to any of them, ask them to mentor you maybe or so. Just wanted to highlight that. But yeah, I think that's it. So thank you so much, everyone. Again, thank you so much, Echo, Ethan, Eniko, and all of the fellows. Yeah, thank you very much. The E-pedal. Yeah, that's not gonna happen again. E-pedal. It was very special. So yeah, thanks, guys. And